What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFawn Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. What happens when top performers in tech, fashion, and business hit a plateau? Well, they call my friend Kristine Steinberg. For over 20 years, Kristine has guided industry leaders to unlock clarity, direction, and passion. As the founder of Kismet, a global executive coaching firm, she helps high achievers rise into their highest selves and create radical transformation personally and professionally. Kristine, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I'm standing in the presence of greatness. You really, you really help high achievers, high performers, which, by the way, are this audience, right? These are the people that listen to this show. They're high achieving. They're leading levels of excellence in both professional and their personal lives. But we all get stuck, Kristine, no matter what level we are trying to reach. We all need that breakthrough sometimes. And I really want to talk about this today because there's so many people. I'm a coach as well. There's so many people that are in this state of sludge. They feel like, why can't I just break through? So this is why you're here today, is to walk us through this process of stuck and how to get out of it. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about your journey and how you got into this space to begin with, because I think that's important.
Sure. Excellent. Well, I love the topic. I can't wait to dive into it. And it's something that, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Tara, that no matter what you do, you could be the greatest coach on earth, the best therapist, or whatever. Every human being goes through stuck phases. And the key is to really to be aware of that. A lot of times stuckness and that sludge and that, that kind of grind we get into can almost come in an unconscious way over time, and we become numb to it. So we can definitely dive into that topic. Thank you. But, what got me here, how I started out in this business, and in the world of human transformation and human behavior change, is I think I was born to be passionate about what makes people tick, what makes them show up to life or retreat from it. And I think at an early age, I was babysitting for a couple who were psychotherapists, and they told me what they did, and just a light went off in me. That sounds so fascinating, right? To solve those kinds of problems, and help people really tap into their human potential. So I, didn't know how that would evolve or into a career when I was 12, but over time, going to college, studying philosophy, studying political science, studying psychology, starting to work in the human services field, working with street kids, juvenile delinquents, mentally challenged adults, homeless people, all kinds of people, walks of life, but then also realizing at some point that everyone suffers. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic or, background you have, the human condition is to suffer. So I was fascinated by that topic as well. And I I went and got a master's degree in psychotherapy and art. One of the reasons I used art as a medium combined with psychology is there was this idea in that program that people can't think their way out of this. You have to transcend thought in order to make significant transformational change. So using different art modalities to help people get out of their logical mind in order to separate themselves from their mind a little bit and see that they are more than their mind. So all that, and you know, started out in doing art therapy with inner city populations, and then I evolved into career coaching in university settings. And then I went to Bain and Company, which is a management consulting firm, and I was a career development manager and helped them with their executive coaching and career development programs. And from there started my practice over 20 years ago in leadership development, executive coaching, and all kinds of life coaching as well. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, amazing. So much to unpack there, right? And I love how you bring the art aspect into this and, not solely relying on our logical minds. That is something that it takes a lot of wisdom to understand. It's something that is, relatively recent in my understanding of just personal transformation and change is we worship logic,
Yeah.
but ultimately our potential is the size of our logical container. And that took me a long time to understand that it's actually a certainty beyond logic sometimes that we need to have and to really break through to our next potential, because the logic that we see is, only the reality that we have lived sometimes. And if you're going to go to that next level, it's not about what you've already done. It's about what you have yet to do and accomplish, right? It's interesting. Um,
Yes.
what do you think about that?
Well, I think you just, really hit so many nails on the head, right? And what you described was sort of this box that logic can keep us in, but it's a very useful box. We shouldn't deny that logic has a major impact on our success. It just that the recipe for holistic progress requires a lot of different dimensions to be tapping into, not always at once, but at least in combination. So, think about it. Many, 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 many years ago, there wasn't a big body of external knowledge or science. So people gathered information by going inside and tapping into some, you know, information that was at their fingertips within themselves. And that's why I think, what's so important about um, helping people to move forward in their lives is help teaching them how to be present to their own instincts and their own body of knowledge. And then combining that with logic and action is what really makes people move forward. I was just, there's two things I think. I was just speaking to someone about how stuck she feels,
Mm.
and her back is all tight and her ankle is starting to give her problems. And it's when our body starts to speak to us like that, that is a message that something is being stagnated inside our mind or our body or both. And it's like an alarm bell because it's gone on for too long. So we talked about, it's like not knowing what to do to get unstuck when you're afraid of not knowing the options or what that could mean. You can start with one thing, which is to move, right? If we are stuck, what's the antidote? Just move, move. If you can't move out of your job or out of your marriage or whatever, get up off the seat, right? Go out for a walk, go stretch your body. Think about ways you can exercise and move without having to make any major decisions. And usually you'll get glimmers of clarity in um, that action.
So true. Oh my gosh, you're right on. You know, we're so much more confident when we are working out. We're so much more confident when we're putting in the work, in the activity to become in a better shape, even if it's small. Going for a walk, circulating your blood, allowing oxygen to fill your lungs. And, it. it often gives me a really good sense of clarity working out. I think about how lucky I am to do this because not everybody's in the position they can. And I actually feel a lot of gratitude when I work out too, because I think, there's a lot of people who don't have this option. And it's interesting because you're so right on. We can really get stuck, but the best way is just to move. And remember that we're not trees, we're not planted. We don't have to stay where we are. We are free to move about as we please,
Yeah,
right? And it builds confidence, it builds clarity. And I have found gratitude as well. What do you think?
I love it. I mean, I think you took what I said to another level, which is, you know, the benefits of, just feeling connected to your body
Mm.
can bring mental freedom that you didn't have before that. And that the body mind connection, we could spend a whole podcast on that. But it's such an important concept because they are so connected, but it's also, if one part of you, say your body is stuck, well, then maybe your mind can help to release, the stuckness in your body. Or if your mind is stuck, maybe the body can help you, right? So using those two things in conjunction with each other and really partnering up when one is out of sync is very important. But I do want to highlight the that you don't have to go work out, right? Like you can, it's just about getting up and moving. If you feel like you can't think of a new idea or you're scared of something or you don't want to make a decision, but that's making you feel jammed up, just get up and move around a little bit. It will help you get perspective.
Yes, it's so true.
Hmm.
I'm helping someone ghostwrite a book right now, and he was stuck, right? And it's literally called writer's block.
Yeah.
And this is why sometimes we need that coach in our lives. Because I have a saying, it's called we can't see the holes in our own ship. We just can't.
Mm.
So anybody can benefit from an outsider's perspective, a third party perspective on our own selves, right? And as we were working through this book and as we were working through writer's block, I realized that it was just a flow that he wasn't in because he was in a state of stuck. And this is why we work with professionals. Again, it's to help get us to that next level. Well, guess what? The book's done.
Mm.
But if you stay in that state of stuck, you can really stay there for a long time. Right? I
Yes.
mean, that book that I'm talking about, that was 6 months in the making. In a week, all of a sudden, clarity. And this is what happens when you work with somebody, and again, get that outsider's perspective, that third party eye on you.
Yeah.
Anybody can benefit from it. I have flaws. I'm sure everybody listening to this does, right? But it's somebody else's third party view that can see the holes in that ship that we just can't see, Kristine, right?
100%. It's that objectivity that a coach brings or a counselor or a mentor, whoever, right? We can't actually, what I think is fascinating. If we need a mirror to
Yeah.
be able to see our own face, we cannot see our own face, right? And so that the coach acts as a mirror. It's not, what the other thing I love about coaching is that I don't know if you agree with this, but in my training and what inspires me most about being a coach is that we are whole and we are resourceful and we aren't here. Our clients are whole and resourceful. We're not here to fix you or change you or tell you what to do. We're here to show you your wholeness and help you tap into your own resources. And so when someone's feeling stuck, I think the first question is, tell me more about what that feels like.
Mm.
Right? Instead of being like, oh, okay, well, here's a remedy. It's like, well, what does that feel like to you? What does that stuckness feel like? Because in that stuckness is something beautiful. Let's figure it out. Like, what is going on? What's happening? What are
Mhm.
you afraid of? And then, okay, well, how do you want to feel? and getting people to really be more reflective of that experience versus just labeling it. Because it's very possible that there's a lot about 10,000 other words you could use for the feeling. But when we use our mind, back to what we were talking about earlier, our logical mind wants to have an answer very quickly. So we label things very fast, but it may not be stuckness. It might be something else. Let's explore that. Not to the, not for 2 weeks or 2 years, like for 10 minutes, and then we can figure out what you want or need to be different or what you're getting from that. I mean, and here's my other quick story. Yeah, I was in New York City for the past 5 days, and it was 100 to 110 degrees. It was so hot, concrete jungle. Everyone was sweating. I mean, it was crazy. And I thought, there's going to be no one out doing anything,
Mhm.
but that is not true. Everyone was out. It was buzzing with excitement, with energy, with non-stuckness through the slough, like through the like the haze, through the heat. People were embracing it, right? They were wearing certain things to just, they were wearing these airy things and moving through the city with their music on and still like eating outside and having cool drinks. And so I was struck by that because I thought this is going to be so dead. It was alive. So what, I don't know, there's just something in that felt really inspiring.
I love that. That's so cool. And I love what you said about wholeness as well. I'm a huge believer in that. I think so many people, they look at other people and they compare and they contrast, and they then in turn view themselves as less than, as inferior, as missing something. And, every time we do this, they say comparison is the thief of joy, but it's the thief of confidence too, right?
Yeah.
And it's the thief of our own potential.
Yeah.
So it's not about um making you into a different person. It's simply about understanding that you're already whole, and then helping you transform into the person that you want to be at your next level. But I think the empowerment portion comes from just knowing that all of these tools are inside of you already. It's working with somebody to help bring them out, right?
Mm, absolutely. And I really love what you said. I mean, there are all these obstacles that our mind places in front of us. Remember that, right? Your mind is placing that obstacle in front of you. And when you look out at someone else and see something and become either intimidated or envious, and you start to compare yourself with that person, your mind, it comparing by it, inherently isn't wrong, right? Because it's date, you're looking at data, you're saying this person is different from me in this way, but there's a feeling that emerges from doing that, and it can, and that comes from our mind putting either an obstacle or a pathway. And if you see something, for example, Tara, I think I really admire that you are out there doing this podcast and helping people on a bigger stage, like trying to bring wisdom to people. I admire that about you. I could also be jealous of it because it's something I've been wanting to do for so many years, but I'm in admiration because I choose admiration, right? We have choices to make when we compare, but you know, jealousy versus admiration, jealousy is going to, it's a toxic feeling that will take you out of your confidence. Admiration puts you into your confidence because now I can say, Tara, how did you do that? Tell me more, and now we're in relationship. Whereas jealousy puts a barrier between you and someone else. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, so makes sense. And you know, when you're really clear on who you are, and when you're really aligned with your purpose,
Mm,
natural gifts, your natural strengths and talents, you start to not look at other people and compare and, start to get that jealousy. You start to look at people as compliments to who you already are. And when you're in that lane of purpose, there is no competition. It doesn't exist. People only exist to complement what you already have, and you vice versa. And a lot of this, success in life that we're talking about today, it's a radical clarity that we need to have so that when we, even if we get to that level of success that we're wishing for, we're praying for, if we're not fulfilled at the end of the day because we didn't start with a foundational element of clarity of who we are,
Yeah.
all of that success is for naught. And it might not be sustainable. We might not be able to hold it.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's really just always looking for a new space to do her work in. And it never kind of measures up, right? And so I said, "What do you want to do in that space? Who are you? Like, what's your purpose in that space? Do that work. The space will come to you." Right. And it's such a wise thing what you've just said. Like, on the purpose track, there's no competition. People start to intimidate you less. Your voice becomes clearer. Um, People want to be around you and you want to be around them. And there's more of a flow, and you start to integrate into life versus compartmentalize life.
Mm, yes. Oh my gosh. This is a $10,000 episode right here.
Woo!
I really believe that because there's so many people, again, even at that highest level of performance. I always say I work with the top 1%. I really do. The top echelon of performers, the elites, pro athletes, TEDx speakers, award-winning authors, these type of people, CEOs. And it's so imperative to have these foundational elements built. And, it's not sexy. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of content out there about the foundation, right? There's all these content around, building the roof. But if you don't have a stable foundation, nothing will stand. And this is like,
Don't you think it's a mindset, right?
it is a
Yeah.
mindset, 100%. And these foundational things that we're talking about, yeah, this is where the work is though. But once you build this layer, everything else comes. The success comes, the fulfillment comes, the relationships come, your soulmate, you know, people that are going to be drivers for your business, whatever it is you're looking for. What I realized is that, things like wealth, everything is just a mirror of what you already are. You're not going to get wealthy if you don't have these foundational elements built because it will leave you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
will leave you. And this is why lottery winners win the lottery. And there's a certain percentage of them, I think 1 out of every 5 lottery winners wins the lottery and then loses it all in 5 years, Kristine. Because
Yeah.
they don't have the foundational elements built. They don't have the capacity to hold the wealth.
Yeah. Right. And what we're talking about is simple, but it's super complex, right? Because it's not just, oh, I'm going to change my mind and be purposeful, right? The universe responds to repetition. So, being authentic and full of purpose and clarity, let's not sugarcoat it. It's a life journey to do that. And your actions and your words and how you show up to every single element of your life, to all the people around you, no matter what, whether they're at the register when you're checking out to someone as a CEO, it doesn't matter. How you hold your integrity in a consistent, patterned way is what the universe starts to recognize.
Yeah.
And you're building you talked about that foundation. That's what it means. That's what you mean, right? Foundation is a foundation. It's thick, stable, consistent over time. It's a pattern. And so you can't just change your mind today that you're going to be purposeful. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to say? How are you going to behave differently? What are you going to commit to? All that stuff patterned.
Mm, I love that. That's why I named my TEDx talk Gratitude, the Foundation of Confidence.
Mm,
It's so important. And I really hope that everybody listening to this takes at least one thing away today. And I'm going to ask the expert here for a couple more takeaways.
mm,
But I hope that everyone takes just at least one thing, actionable piece of advice that they apply in their life right now so that they can grow in sustainable success, wealth, freedom, abundance, and joy, because this is what we need in order to live a life that is truly aligned with our purpose. Kristine, I would love to hear from you. What are some actionable takeaways people can, work on right now to gain this radical clarity that we're talking about today?
mm. Amazing. What a great question. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is if you've listened to this whole podcast, then I would reflect what is one thing that really spoke to you in the past 20 minutes or so? What is one thing?
Mm.
And then what can you do about that insight? What is one action you can take that would help you explore that or go deeper with it or address something in your life that's related to it? Why did it resonate for you? And what can you do about it? And then when we talk about radical clarity and building a life of purpose, we have to start with truth. What
Ooh,
are you avoiding? Write that down. What
yes.
is the one thing you know you're not being truthful about with yourself? You can write that down in private. You don't have to tell anyone. But if you were going to do one thing to help you get unstuck, that would be so hard, maybe even, right? Like that you might not even do. What is the truth that is trying to come through to you? Write that down. It has to be seen by you. And then, to Tara's point, if you have the courage to share that with a coach and unpack it, then I think both of us would commend you for it and you'd be on your path to deeper clarity and confidence and fulfillment.
Wow, I love that. We can't manage what we can't measure, right? We have to be able to measure something. And in order to do that, we have to call it out. We have to shine the light on this truth and what is holding us back. I have a dear friend. She lives in London. She's a coach as well. And about a year and a half ago, she said she got radical clarity that if she wanted to deepen her relationship with God and help more people and go into her next level, she needed to give up alcohol. Whatever that looks like for you, that's just one example.
Yeah.
But she did it and she said, I'm not going back. It's been over a year. I feel better. I'm more connected. My relationships are better. I feel more confident. Well, then that was the step that was holding her back. So for everybody, it may look a little different, but I think, to your point, shining the light on that, the light is the truth, shining the light on it, measuring it, and then you can manage it. You'll feel so much better. And, we talked about movement, taking that one action step today. It doesn't have to be big. And sometimes it's not even one day at a time. Sometimes it's one meal at a time. So if we have, right, a problem maybe with eating the wrong foods that we know our body can't digest well, that we know isn't serving us, don't even think of a whole day at a time. Think of how can I make this next meal more satisfying to my body to where it's more healthy? Okay, one meal, and then you do it, give yourself a congratulations. You just did one small thing, one small movement in the way of truth. It doesn't have to be radical leaps and bounds and marathons. It can be small, progressive, compounded actions over time that really lead to those big results, right?
Yeah, I like the shine the light on the truth
Yep.
and then take it one meal or 1 minute or one stretch out of, one
Yeah.
stretch to move your body, whatever it is, but combine that truth telling that you've had with yourself with one radical yet simple act and see what happens. Report back to us.
I love that. Yes, report back to us. I love. Like, my favorite thing ever is hearing from our listeners and them telling me what they've changed and the result they've gotten from it. And it's been an incredible journey. Like, that is my absolute favorite thing. And when I hear these stories come in, it gives me a sense of real purpose to know that, you know what, I am on the right path, that I am helping people, and that I'm doing the right things in this world to improve it. And ultimately, that's what I want, right? And that's what Kristine wants. That's what we all want. So let us know, send an email, let us know in a comment or something like that how this episode impacted you, how it resonated with you, and most importantly, what action step you took after this to make radical improvements on your life. Kristine, where can everybody reach you and look you up and find more about you online?
Oh, thanks, Tara. You can look on, well, my website is thisiskismet.com. So this is Kismet, KISMET.com. I'm also on Instagram and I post a lot of content, coaching content, inspirational content and it's, my handle is at actually Kismet. Yeah. And I'm around, if anyone wants to connect.
Love that. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Kristine, for being a guest on the show today. And thank you for everyone who tuned into this episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this and leave a review. We love hearing from people from all over the globe, and it works so much better when you share this with your audiences so we can reach and help more people. So, on that note, we will see you on the next episode. Take care.